right. Looks like we're live, which I guess is a good thing here on Facebook. My name's Jeff Utecht, coming at you from Seattle. So if you've been watching this on Facebook, you've had Chrissy and Kim, and now it's my turn. So we're going to be all taking turns doing this. Hopefully you can hear me and everything's good to go. I'm trying to get this all set up for today. Today we're going to be talking about advanced search skills, and I know we were sending out stuff saying that Kim was going to join me, and we thought we had everything set up, and then all of a sudden we couldn't get Kim's audio to work with this piece of software we're using from Bangkok. So we tried to bite off more than we could chew today. So you're gonna have to just get me, but Kim is here. She is actually in the chat, following up with people in the chat. One of the things I don't like about this software, the software that Kim and Chrissy used, was that they actually got to see who was commenting and got to see the comments in real time, and I don't get to see that. So Kim's going to run that portion for me, and I'm going to be going through this part. Again, sorry about that. We tried to get it fixed real quick, and we'll try to get it fixed for next time. So I think it'd be really cool to be able to do a Facebook Live session, with people from at least 2 or 3 different places around the world. So we're still learning all this stuff out, and we're figuring it out. But today what we're going to be talking about is advanced search and the importance of teaching search skills to kids, and not just kids, just everyone today. And what are some of the things that we can do, just quick tips, especially as we start thinking about, the end of this school year here in the Northern Hemisphere, and we start thinking about what that means for next school year. What are some of the systems we can set up, the places we can go, and things that we can do to get the school year off right. So as we start reflecting on the end of this school year that's coming up and start thinking about next school year, if you teach a couple of these skills at the very beginning of the school year, they're skills that you can continue to build on for the rest of the year. So we have some links for you. I'm just going to throw these up on the screen real quick. We've got some links for you to have a look at, and those links are just some places that you can go to get some further information. The website, blog posts. Kim wrote a blog post not too long ago, and then there's a free PDF that we're going to be giving away today as part of the live. So I'll throw those back up there again, and you can always go back and watch this at the same time. So I want to get started with just a couple of the basics, and some of the things that I do with schools and students that I find very fascinating is the very basic is understanding the index page that is a Google search, and what does that mean and where does that go. And for better or for worse, when kids open a book, we teach them, or when I was in elementary school, we would go to the library and learn how to use the index page of a book. And I find that we don't teach that a whole lot anymore. And the index page that is the one we use the most today, which is a Google search result page, not a lot of people understand how it's created and the information that it's given there. And I think it's worth knowing what Google is giving you when you do a search result. So we're going to spend some time just understanding what the search result looks like, what information is there, and then what are some ways to get out the filter bubble, and we'll talk about the filter bubble a little bit as well, and then some advanced search techniques that I think with a couple quick clicks, you can get outside the filter bubble and do some amazing stuff as well. So we're going to be doing a couple of those. So we're going to jump right in here, and I'm going to go ahead and look at the Google page here. And what we're going to do first is I'm just going to do a search for climate change, like that. And let's see, it doesn't look like you're seeing my screen real quick. Here we go. Let's see if I can get this moved over for you. How's that? That might be better. Now you're seeing my screen. So I'm doing a search for climate change, and when I scroll down here, it's just understanding what information I'm given from Google when I do this search result. So the first thing I'm going to do is be thinking about first the way Google is right now, and it's continually changing. But right now, if you type in something that is well known like climate change, it gives me basically a definition of it. Now, where this definition comes from is a really good question to ask. Some other information we see right away is we see about how many search results we get. So if I type in climate change, we're getting about 177,000 or 177 million search results. So it's good to know, how many search results are you given here, because most people don't even look past the first couple pages. As we scroll down, Google has started this new thing recently where you get the top stories. And these come from vetted sources from Google. So here we have Gizmodo, The Guardian, and Talking Points Memo as 3 top stories that deal with our search term of climate change. Underneath that, then, what we're going to get is what is known as the raw results, or Google saying, out of 177 million, here's the best I have. And this is the part of the index page that I think is worth getting to know, because this is where we start. And so understanding that the first thing here is the blue, or if you click on it, it turns purple, but the blue here is actually the title of the web page. A lot of people just think it's the link, and it is. It's linked to the source that we want, but this is the title of the web page. So it's good to know that anybody can put this title up here. So it's good to know this is the title of the web page. Anyone can put it. So it's the first place that you look for on what is the information you're going to get on that page. Underneath that, then, we actually get the URL, or the link to that source here in the green. And so that's the actual URL that we're going to get. And then underneath that, we get what is called the snippet. And that's this little black spot. And that, a lot of times, I find that people, and even students, just read the snippet and move on, or read the snippet and not understand where that snippet comes from on the page. Now, on many pages, it's just the first sentence or two, but it doesn't have to be. What it is as I type in climate change, Google is looking as it ranks its pages to where your search term comes up for the first time. And so, on this page, on this first page, it might come up here in the first, 2 sentences. But if we look down here to this one, that is climate.nasa.gov, you'll notice that there are 3 little dots. I don't know if you can see that on the screen. You might have to look really close or make your screen big. But there are 3 little dots telling me that there's information missing here. And so it might be the first sentence, and then it's jumped to another sentence somewhere to help give me an idea of where that information is coming from and what's next. So that's good to know. We need to know that information. So spending time going through this, I know it seems kind of ridiculous as far as just, spending time getting to know it, but I'm surprised and amazed how many kids and how many educators and how many parents don't know what that information is on the search result page. It's the index page that we use the most. And so it's good to know what makes it up. It's really good just to, to take some time to understand what is the information I'm getting here. Because if we don't understand the information we're getting, then we need to start thinking about, how do I change or manipulate that information? Now, you'll notice for me, for some reason today, when I did a search for climate change here, I don't have any ads. And so one of the things people think is that you have ads, or that the first couple links are ads that are in here, and that's not true. There are no ads in these raw results. These are like the raw results of Google at work. And there's a reason why Google won't put ads in here, because if it did, we would be very upset. If you do a search that comes up with some results, what you'll see is a little yellow ad next to it. And so that's good to know, and it's good to think about that you can see the ads, and usually they're up here at the very top, or you've probably seen them down the right-hand side of the page. But there's always a little ad next to any ad that shows up on the page. So that's good to know. The second thing then is understanding how to get outside of the filter bubble. So the filter bubble is this idea that everything that is given to me, my search results that you saw on that page, might be different than the search results that you have. And there's different reasons for that. Google and Facebook and all the social medias and Google and everybody right now is looking at a bunch of different what they call signals and giving you the information that they think is most relevant to you. And so it's a really interesting thing to do is even just in your classroom, have all the students search for the same thing and then look at, is there any differences in the search result page that you get? Now, there are some things it's a great conversation to have, I think, with kids and things to think about. But that is what we call the search bubble. Now, there are things that Google knows or is using against you, or I guess for you, to give you those results. So, for example, Google knows right now that I'm using the Chrome browser. Google knows that I'm on a MacBook Pro. So it probably can make a pretty good assumption of my income. It can make an assumption people that use Chrome had to actually go and download it and install it, which gives a little more tech ability than somebody that just uses a pre-installed browser. So they're thinking of those signals. It knows that I live in Seattle, so it probably knows that Seattle is a very liberal city, so my results are going to be skewed by that. And by the end of the day, there's actually 13 different results they know if you're not logged in. Now, on that search result page that we're playing with today, I'm actually logged in, so Google knows a lot more about me. They know every time that I've searched for climate change, they know what I've clicked on, and all of that then is used to customize my search for me. Now, that's a good thing. We say we don't like that, and yes, we don't like that we're being put into this bubble that is created for us, but at the same time, we like the bubble because we get exactly what we want. And if Google didn't give us exactly what we wanted, then we would also be very upset, and we'd stop using Google. So it's this catch-22 of, I hate that Google is shaping the internet to give me the view that I want, and I'm not seeing any outside views. And at the same time, I like it because I always go back to Google and I click on one of the first 4 links, along with 90+% of the rest of the world. And so we're kind of in this catch-22 when it comes to teaching students how to find a rounded body of information that gives us a greater perspective. And I think anything that we do nowadays, especially in the climate that we're in with fake news and just things on the internet, is helping kids to understand that you can get variety of perspectives unlike we've ever been able to get before on the internet, and use those to our advantage. So one of the things that I love to teach kids, and this to me is one of my favorite hacks, is in the search bar up here. You know, a lot of times we teach kids to use parentheses, or there's all kinds of little search hacks. My favorite though is just to use this one, cite colon. If you don't remember anything else, this by far is a great thing to teach kids at the very beginning of the year and then have fun with it. And what this does is this tells me, what it does is it takes away all of the other websites that do not end in .gov or our government websites. So I have kids do this, and you can see here now, I have 4.7 million results. I always like to read that off to the kids. It's always a great strategy if you're looking for long-form numbers, that have kids practice reading long-form numbers, have them go do a Google search. Underneath that then, what I get is here's NASA, climate.nasa.gov. Here's EPA.gov, EPA.gov, EPA.gov. So then I get a bunch of EPA government websites. And then down here at the bottom, this is quite interesting, I get something from Washington State government. So that is probably being given to me because I am in the state of Washington. But what this really does is this starts to get me outside of the bubble. I am looking at a different perspective, or rather, I'm looking at one perspective at a time. I'm looking at climate change from the perspective of the U.S. government. And now what I can have students do is start to gather a body of knowledge from different areas and different places for them to start making their own assumptions or to come up to their own ideas about a topic. So one of the nice things you can do then is if you know the country codes, and in our free PDF we have a link to where you can download and you can share with students all of the country codes, because to me that is something worth memorizing in 2017 are the different country codes. So with a couple clicks here, I have gov.cn, and now I'm getting I'm getting results from the government of China. Or I can do gov.uk, and now I'm going to be getting results from the government of the UK. Or I can do gov.au, and I can be in Australia. Or I can do one of my favorites to do for climate change is to go to ZA, which is South Africa. And so here we're in South Africa and looking at the government of South Africa and what they have to say about climate change. To me, that's powerful. We're starting to look at what different governments are coming out. You have a great conversation with students around how much do we trust governments? Why do we trust governments? Why do we start with a gov domain? Because we know that they're owned by governments. Nobody can buy a .gov domain. They are reserved for governments. The other place I always like to have kids start, because they're a reserved domain, is edu. And so now we are using educational sites in the States or here in America, but I can again just use .au, and now I'm in Australia and I'm looking at educational institutions in Australia. The reason why I like using edu a lot is also that here in the States anyway, it's one of our largest research bodies are universities. And so you get a lot of information, especially around science, that comes out of the universities that's really good. And so I use that a lot. Now, the rest of the world, not the whole world, uses edu. A lot of the world uses AC. So if I wanted to, for example, Kim is in Thailand, and so if I wanted to look up academic institutions in Thailand, I use ac.th. And a lot of the world uses ac.th. I can't remember off the top of my head what Hong Kong does. So here I did Hong Kong, and here's your ads. You can see the little green ad button, so I know those are ads. I can just skip over there. But I see that their climate change for site ac.hk for Hong Kong doesn't have any matching. So if it's not in AC, I'm going to guess then it's an edu. And then there are the universities of Hong Kong and all their research around climate change as well. You'll also notice here that I'm down to 14,000 views. I've gone from 177 million down to 14,000. To me, that's pretty good. Like, we're starting to zone in, we're starting to zoom in on the idea of where this goes and getting a lot closer to information. And again, getting kids to think of, where are you getting your information from? What is the perspectives that you have? Can you start to triangulate data? Are you hearing the same thing from the U.S. government as you are from the Australian government, as you are from the UK government, as you are from name a government of the world? And to me, that helps us create a rounded body of knowledge in a digital age, and very important. Now, one of the hacks I really like for teachers, and this is a bonus, if you will, is we don't have to go broad and global. We can also go very local. So here in America, and whatever country you're in, I'm sure there's something that works the same way. But here in America, a lot of U.S. public schools have used the K-12 dot, whatever your two-letter state code is, U.S. So now if I type in climate change K12.wa.us, I'm going to get all of the climate change resources that are coming from K-12 schools in the state of Washington. Now, the cool thing about this is now I'm looking at other resources that teachers are sharing. I'm looking at things that are probably closer to the reading level. One of the things I like to do with this is, being a fourth grade teacher, I had to teach the Oregon Trail. And so now if I type in Oregon Trail, site:/K12.wa.us, I'm getting information about the Oregon Trail from teachers, public school teachers in the state of Washington. I know Oregon Trail is taught in the fourth grade, so I also probably know that the reading level of these 435 results is going to be close to a fourth grade level. So there's some really cool little tricks with this site:/. It's one of my favorites to get outside of the filter bubble. It's a quick, easy one to remember. Now, we've got, again, all of this is written down in our free PDF that you're going to get at the end, and I'll throw those links up there as we wrap up. So that's one of my favorites for sure as we continue to go. Now, one of the other things I like, and I'm going to just go back to climate change because it's a little more ever-changing, of course. If I go back to climate change, and then I'm going to go back to site:/gov, and so now I'm back to site:/gov here for the government. I'm going to go under Tools, and if you click on Tools at the end of the bar right here, it's the very last link says Tools, and this way, I just love this. Once you click on it, you get this anytime link to pop down, and now we can look at things through time. So with something like climate change, that is, information coming out all the time about climate change, I don't want stuff just from the government. I want stuff from the government, but I also want stuff that is only maybe I only want, if I go to anytime, I only want stuff that's a week old. And so now I'm going to get climate change from the U.S. government, and it's only a week old. And if you look here, if you can see my screen, I've got this top one here is 4 days old, 4 days old, 4 days old. And when we talk about the amount of information that is available to kids today, and I love talking to kids about this because it kind of is mind-blowing, I think, to everyone, that even if I do, like, say, the last 24 hours, just information from just our government, the U.S. government, right now is changing so quickly that here I've got, the NOAA research updated 13 hours ago, 23 hours ago, 9 hours ago. That is some really up-to-date information that we can have to talk about with kids. Now, I might get lucky. I'm going to try this. In the past hour, oh, look at that, 56 minutes ago, the Agency of International Development posted something new on climate change. So all of a sudden, in the past hour, I've got, it looks like those three are ads. So that's a Twitter. The Twitter account has been updated. Interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 results in the past hour. So you can play with this, and it's great to start having that conversation again with kids over, depending on what it is that you want kids to do, we can start looking at things differently. I think about things like, even in 3rd grade, if you're going to have students, let's say, do an animal report, and your animal is the cheetah, one of your research, one of your links should come from, one of your sources should come from the country that a cheetah actually lives in. So you can do TZ for Tanzania, and the kids have to look up what countries do animals actually live in, and then what are the 2-letter country code for that country to go and see what is happening in that country. You're doing penguins, you need to know ZA so you can get to South Africa, right? So there's just some really great ways, I think, just a couple of quick hacks on ways that we can start teaching this with teachers, with kids, and with the family at large. There's a lot of great little hacks that you can do. We've got more in our resources here, and I'll throw those back up. Here you go. So here are the resource links for today's event. We have the Eduro website. There's a blog post that we wrote this week, just talks about this same stuff that we've gone through. We've got Kim's post. Kim wrote a blog post this week that's really great as well. And then we have our free PDF. And so I'm going to throw that up here in just a second as well as we get ready to transition off. So thank you for spending these 25 minutes or so with me. I hope that those advanced search skills help you. Again, site : and then any 3-letter domain get you outside of the filter bubble. And then again, tools. And once you click on the tools link, you can search for any time. So as we get ready to say goodbye, here is the link one last time for the free PDF. Chrissy put this together for us. It's based on our blog post, some other deeper information. There are videos embedded in there, and it's worth headed over to bit.ly/EduroSearch2 to get that free PDF. So I hope this worked. Again, this is the first time we use this software, so hope this worked for you, and you found this interesting, and we're going to try this again, and hopefully next time when we'll get the software figured out, and Kim and I will be here together face-to-face to have more of a conversation rather than having me actually talk to you. But that's the way it worked this time, so sorry about that, but hopefully Kim was able to be in the comment section and see you from there as well. So thanks again, and we'll be back next Thursday with another Facebook Live session.